7 days ago, my wife, Mia, said she regretted every moment with me. This morning, her best friend slipped me a USB drive and whispered, "She's planning to destroy you." I thought I knew heartbreak, but what I found on that drive wasn't just betrayal. It was a calculated plan to erase me. Now, I'm not folding. I'm fighting back, and she's about to learn I'm not the man she thought she could bury. Lucas woke to the buzz of his phone against the motel nightstand, the screen flashing 6:47 a.m. He hadn't slept? Not really. Just drifted in and out of the haze, replaying Mia's voice from 7 days ago. "I regret every day with you." The words had landed like a blade, clean and sharp, over their breakfast table in their Miami condo. No argument, no tears, just her spoon scraping grapefruit pulp and a dismissive flick of her hair. Lucas had slid his wedding ring across the table, said, "Then let this be the last one," and walked out. No suitcase, no plan, just the weight of 8 years crumbling behind him. Now, in the Palm Breeze Motel, a neon-lit dump off I-95, he stared at the ceiling, its water stains mapping his unraveling life. He turned off his phone to block Mia's half-hearted texts, if they even came. He wasn't ready for apologies or excuses. He wanted silence, a chance to vanish. But at 7:03 a.m., a knock shattered that plan. Not the timid tap of housekeeping, but an urgent, insistent rap. Lucas dragged himself to the door, expecting a wrong room or a late-night pizza guy. Instead, Sophia stood there, Mia's best friend, maid of honor at their wedding, the woman who once called him Loyal Lucas, with a smirk that cut deeper than the nickname. Sophia didn't wait for an invitation. She pushed past him, clutching a USB drive like it was a live grenade. "She's moving fast, Lucas. Too fast. You need to see this." Her voice was low, urgent, her eyes darting to the door like she expected Mia to burst through. Lucas shut it, his pulse spiking. "What are you talking about?" he asked, but his gut already knew it wasn't good. Sophia handed him the drive. "Plug it in. Now." Her tone left no room for hesitation. Lucas grabbed his laptop from the bed, its screen flickering to life. The USB drive clicked into place, revealing a folder labeled MD_evidence. Inside were files, screenshots, PDFs, audio clips, a screen recording. He opened one at random. A bank statement showing a $5,200 transfer from their joint savings to an account in Mia's maiden name, dated 3 months ago. The memo read, San Diego Fund. Lucas's stomach twisted. They planned a San Diego trip 2 years back for their anniversary, but Mia canceled, citing a work crisis. He'd used the money to upgrade her home office instead, thinking it would make her happy. He clicked another file, a screenshot of text between Mia and a contact labeled, "He's clueless. I'll have everything in my name by next month. He'll sign whatever I put in front of him." The reply, "You sure he won't push back?" Mia's response, "Trust me, Ethan. He's too soft to fight." Ethan, her ex from college, the one she swore she hadn't spoken to in a decade. Lucas's hands shook as he opened an audio clip. Mia's voice, light and mocking, filled the room. "Lucas is like background noise. I'm ready for music again." Laughter followed. Her friends, cackling on a Zoom call she didn't know was recorded. Sophia watched him, arms crossed, her jaw tight. "I believe her at first," she said. "She told everyone you were needy, unstable, dragging her down. But last week, I saw her gloating about this, like it's a game. She's planning to leave you with nothing, Lucas. The house, the savings, your reputation. She's already got a lawyer spinning a story about you being emotionally manipulative." Lucas's breath caught. He'd spent years smoothing over Mia's bad days, planning date nights she barely acknowledged, apologizing for fights he didn't start. He thought it was love, not a performance. "Why are you telling me this?" he asked, voice hoarse. Sophia's eyes softened, but her words were steel. "Because she thinks you'll fold. I'm betting you won't." She stepped toward the door. "Look at everything on that drive. Then call someone who can fight dirty. You're running out of time." She left, and Lucas sat frozen, the laptop screen glowing with Mia's betrayal. He clicked the screen, recording next. Mia's face appeared, calm and calculated, in a Zoom call with Ethan and an older man in glasses. "He doesn't suspect a thing," she said. "Once the assets are mine, we're set for San Diego. He'll crumble like always." Ethan laughed. The older man nodded. Lucas's jaw clenched so hard his teeth ached. He wasn't crumbling. Not yet. He grabbed his phone, powered it on, and searched for a divorce lawyer. Elena Torres, a name from a local ad, promised relentless advocacy. He dialed, his hands steady for the first time in days. Elena's office was a cramped space in downtown Miami, wedged between a taco shop and a pawn store. She was in her late 40s, sharp-eyed, with a handshake that meant business. Lucas handed her the USB drive and recounted Sophia's warning. Elena skimmed the files, her expression unreadable, then leaned back. She's building a narrative to bury you, financially and socially. But she's sloppy. These transfers, these texts, they're fingerprints. She tapped the desk. We don't just defend you, Lucas. We counterattack. You in? Lucas nodded, his grief hardening into resolve. Mia thought he was predictable, a pawn in her game. But pawns could flip the board. He left Elena's office with a plan forming. Not for revenge, but for truth. Mia had started this war in the shadows. Lucas was ready to step into the light. Lucas sat in his car outside Elena's office, the Miami heat pressing against the windows, his laptop open on the passenger seat. The USB drive's contents burned in his mind. Mia's secret bank transfers, her texts with Ethan, her voice mocking him as background noise. He hadn't slept, but adrenaline kept him sharp. Elena had instructed him to dig deeper, find more evidence, track Mia's moves, and stay one step ahead. Lucas opened his banking app, heart pounding, and checked their joint accounts. Another $3,800 had vanished 2 days ago, funneled to the same account labeled San Diego Fund. His fingers tightened around the steering wheel. Mia wasn't just planning to leave. She was stripping him bare. He drove to a coffee shop, a quiet spot away from a motel, and connected to their shared cloud storage. Mia had always handled their passwords, claiming she was better with tech. Lucas had trusted her, never questioning the account she managed. Now, he reset the password using a security question she'd never suspect he remembered, the name of their first vacation spot. The account opened, revealing a folder labeled Work Docs. Inside were no work files, just screenshots of emails between Mia and a lawyer named Bryce Harper. One email outlined a plan to claim Lucas had been emotionally erratic, justifying her asset grabs. Another mentioned a therapy note to seal the narrative. Lucas's pulse raced. He'd never been to therapy, not since college. Whatever note she had was a lie. He forwarded the emails to Elena, then noticed a locked file in the cloud, private_2024. It required a separate password. Lucas tried Mia's usual combinations, birthdays, pet names. Nothing worked. Frustrated, he called Sophia, who picked up on the first ring. She used Ethan's birthday for private stuff, Sophia said, her voice clipped. Try April 12th, 89. It worked. The file opened to reveal a spreadsheet tracking their assets. The condo, savings, even Lucas's freelance design contracts. Next to each was a date and a note. Transfer to M. Complete by September. Mia was timing everything to coincide with their divorce filing. Lucas's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. We need to talk. It's about Mia. Meet me at Bayside Park, 3 p.m. No name, no context. He hesitated, then texted Sophia, asking if she'd send it. Not me, she replied. Be careful. Against his better judgment, Lucas went. The park was crowded with tourists, the air thick with salt and sunscreen. At 3:05, a woman approached. Carla, Mia's cousin, whom he hadn't seen since their wedding. She looked nervous, clutching a manila envelope. I shouldn't be here, she said, handing it over. But Mia's been lying to everyone, including me. Inside were printed Facebook messages from a private group Mia thought was secure. In them, she bragged about her exit strategy, draining their accounts, moving to San Diego with Ethan, and leaving Lucas too broken to fight. One post read, "He's so predictable, I could set my watch to his apologies." Carla admitted she'd saved the messages after Mia claimed Lucas had episodes that made her fear for her safety. I believed her at first, Carla said, eyes down. Then I saw her laughing about it with Ethan. It's all a setup. Lucas's jaw tightened as he scanned the messages. One mentioned a meeting with Bryce Harper to finalize divorce papers, scheduled for tomorrow. He thanked Carla, who vanished into the crowd, and called Elena immediately. She's meeting her lawyer tomorrow, he said, voice steady despite the storm inside. We need to move faster. Elena didn't pause. Give me those messages. I'm drafting a counterclaim tonight. We'll hit her with everything, fraud, defamation, the works. Back at the motel, Lucas combed through the USB drive again, finding a screen recording Sophia hadn't mentioned. It was a Zoom call from last week. Mia speaking to Ethan and Bryce. He's too spineless to check the accounts, she said, smirking. By the time he notices, I'll be gone. Bryce nodded, adding, the therapy note will make sure no one questions you. Lucas froze. A forged document, designed to paint him as unhinged. He emailed the video to Elena, who replied within minutes. This is gold. They just handed us their own noose. The next morning, Lucas met Elena at her office. She'd already cross-referenced the bank transfers with public records, confirming Mia had opened a San Diego account under her maiden name. She's betting you'll roll over, Elena said, sliding a legal pad across the desk. But we're filing for financial misconduct and intentional deceit. If that therapy note surfaces, we'll prove it's fake. Lucas nodded, his anger now a focused blade. Mia had underestimated him, but he wasn't the man who apologized for her bad moods anymore. As he left, his phone buzzed again, an email from their mortgage company. Mia had tried to refinance the condo in her name alone, claiming Lucas had abandoned the property. The audacity hit him like a punch. He forwarded it to Elena, who texted back, keep collecting. She's building her own case against herself. Lucas drove back to the motel, his mind racing. Mia thought she'd scripted his defeat, but every lie she told was a crack in her armor. He wasn't just fighting for his money or his home. He was fighting for the truth she'd tried to bury. Lucas stood outside the Miami-Dade courthouse, the morning sun glaring off the glass doors. His palms were slick, but his resolve was iron. Today was the preliminary hearing, a chance to settle the divorce without a full trial, if Mia played fair. But the USB drive, Carla's envelope, and the mortgage email proved she wasn't. Elena had spent the last 2 days building a case, weaving Lucas's evidence into a legal battering ram. She thinks you're a pushover, Elena had said, handing him a folder of notarized documents. Let's show her you're not. Inside, the courtroom buzzed with low voices and shuffling papers. Lucas sat on the respondent's side, gripping the folder like a lifeline. Mia entered, her heels clicking sharply, her posture radiating confidence. She didn't glance at him, just whispered to her lawyer, Bryce Harper, whose tailored suit screamed money. Lucas recognized him from the Zoom recording, the man who'd nodded along as Mia plotted to discredit him. Bryce stood first, addressing the judge, a woman with a tight bun and sharper eyes, with a polished tone. My client seeks equitable distribution of assets, given Mr. Monroe's neglectful behavior and emotional instability, which strained the marriage. Lucas's stomach churned. Neglectful? He'd been the one juggling freelance deadlines to pay their bills while Mia jetted off for work trips. Bryce slid a document across the table, claiming Lucas had abandoned the condo and failed to contribute financially. Then came the bombshell, a therapy note, allegedly from a DR. Kessler, stating Lucas had unmanaged anxiety and erratic tendencies. The judge skimmed it, her brow furrowing. Lucas's heart raced. He'd never met a Dr. Kessler. It was the forged note Mia had bragged about. Elena stood, calm but lethal. Your Honor, we contest these claims and request to submit evidence of financial misconduct and intentional deception. She placed a USB drive and a stack of printouts on the table. Exhibit A. Unauthorized bank transfers from joint accounts to a private one in Ms. Delgado's maiden name. Exhibit B. Communications with a third party, Ethan Carter, outlining a plan to misrepresent Mr. Monroe's character. Exhibit C. A recorded conversation confirming the fabrication of this therapy note. The judge's eyes narrowed as Elena handed over the notarized statement from Carla, exposing Mia's lies to their family. Bryce shifted, his confidence wavering. This evidence lacks authentication, he argued, but his voice cracked slightly. Elena didn't flinch. The bank records are verified by account numbers tied to both parties. The communications include timestamps and metadata, which we can subpoena for verification. The therapy note? We have a sworn affidavit from Dr. Kessler's clinic confirming no such patient record exists. Lucas watched Mia's hands clench under the table, her facade cracking. The judge leaned forward. MS. Delgado, these are serious allegations. Do you wish to respond? Mia stayed silent, her eyes fixed on the table. Bryce whispered urgently, but she only nodded, lips tight. The judge flipped through the printouts, pausing a screenshot of Mia's text to Ethan. He'll sign anything. He's too weak to fight. Then she reached the Zoom transcript where Mia laughed about framing Lucas as unstable. This is highly concerning, the judge said, her voice like steel. We'll need a forensic review of these documents. I'm postponing any rulings until the evidence is fully vetted. She looked at Bryce. Your client's claims of emotional distress appear questionable. Lucas exhaled, his chest loosening for the first time in weeks. Mia finally glanced at him, her eyes wide. Not with guilt, but with shock, like she'd never expected him to push back. Bryce requested a recess, stammering about needing to consult with his client. The judge granted it, her gaze lingering on Mia as if measuring her. As they filed out, Elena leaned in. That was round one. She's rattled, but she'll regroup. Stay sharp. In the hallway, Lucas stepped outside for air, the humid Miami breeze grounding him. His phone buzzed, a voicemail from an unknown number. He played it, expecting another tip from Sophia or Carla. Instead, it was Ethan's voice, low and smug. Lucas, back off. You're making this harder than it needs to be. Sign the papers, and maybe Mia lets you keep some dignity. The call ended abruptly. Lucas's blood boiled, but he saved the voicemail and sent it to Elena. More ammo, she texted back. He's desperate. Before returning to the courtroom, Lucas spotted Mia near the vending machines, alone. She didn't see him. Her shoulders were slumped, her phone pressed to her ear. He's not supposed to know this much, she hissed, likely to Ethan. Fix it. Lucas turned away, his anger now a quiet fire. Mia had built her plan on his silence, but he was done being her shadow. He walked back inside, ready for the next round, knowing the truth was his weapon, and it was sharper than her lies hasty. Lucas sat in the Palm Breeze Motel, the faint hum of the air conditioner punctuating the silence. The preliminary hearing had shaken Mia, but the war wasn't over. Elena had warned him. She'll double down. Expect a counterattack. Lucas opened his laptop, combing through the USB drive again for anything he'd missed. A new file caught his eye, a PDF labeled legal notes. It was a draft of Mia's divorce petition, accusing him of financial neglect and erratic behavior that justified her taking full control of their assets. The lies stung, but the real shock was a handwritten note scanned into the file. Push the mental health angle. He'll cave under scrutiny. It was Mia's handwriting, unmistakable from years of grocery lists and birthday cards. His phone buzzed. A call from Carla, Mia's cousin. Lucas, I found something else, she said, her voice tense. Check your email. He opened it to find screenshots of a private Instagram DM thread. Mia had messaged a mutual friend, claiming Lucas had threatened her safety during an argument that never happened. The friend had replied, that doesn't sound like him. Mia's response, trust me, he's not who you think. I got proof. Lucas's hands shook as he forwarded the email to Elena. Mia wasn't just rewriting their marriage. She was erasing his character. Elena called within minutes. This is defamation, plain and simple, she said. We're adding it to the counterclaim. Meet me at the office tomorrow. We need to prep for her next move. Lucas agreed, but before hanging up, he asked, what if she's already turned everyone against me? Elena's reply was firm. The truth doesn't need a majority vote. It just needs evidence. Her words steadied him, but doubt lingered. How many friends, how many family members had bought Mia's story? The next day, Lucas arrived at Elena's office to find Sophia waiting outside, holding a small USB stick. I hacked into her work email, Sophia admitted, glancing around nervously. She's been careless, sending stuff to Ethan from her company account. Lucas hesitated. Hacking was risky, but took the stick. Inside were emails between Mia and a colleague, instructing them to backdate financial records to make it look like Lucas had mismanaged their accounts. One email read, if we make it look like he was reckless, the judge won't question my claim to the condo. Sophia's voice was low. She's betting no one will check her work server. I did. Elena reviewed the new evidence, her eyes gleaming. This is conspiracy to commit fraud, she said, already typing a motion. We'll subpoena her work records to confirm these emails. If they're real, she's done. Lucas nodded, but his mind churned. Mia's lies had spread like wildfire, tainting his reputation with people he'd known for years. He opened his phone to a text from a college friend. Ryan, heard you, and Mia split. She said you lost it. You okay? Lucas didn't reply. Instead, he sent Ryan the Zoom recording of Mia plotting with Ethan, along with a single line. This is the truth. By evening, More messages trickled in. Friends who'd gone silent reached out, stunned by the evidence. One, a former coworker named Jess, wrote, "Mia told us you were controlling. I'm so sorry I believed her." Lucas felt a flicker of relief, but it was bittersweet. The damage was done. Years of trust eroded by Mia's calculated whispers. He called Carla, needing answers. "How long has she been planning this?" he asked. Carla sighed. "Since before your 5th anniversary. Ethan never left her life. They've been meeting in secret for years, using your money to fund it." The revelation hit like a gut punch. Lucas remembered their 5th anniversary. Mia had insisted on a quiet dinner at home, claiming she was overwhelmed by work. He'd cooked her favorite pasta, lit candles, and planned a weekend getaway she later canceled. Now he knew why. She'd been texting Ethan that night, planning a trip to San Diego. He opened the USB drive again, finding boarding passes for flights Mia took under her maiden name, matching dates she'd claimed were work conferences. The betrayal wasn't just personal. It was a meticulously planned heist. Lucas met Elena the next morning to finalize their strategy. She drafted a motion to freeze all joint accounts, citing Mia's unauthorized transfers. "We're also requesting a forensic accountant," Elena said. "Her financial trail is a mess. She didn't cover her tracks well." Lucas handed over Sophia's USB stick, detailing the work emails. Elena's lips twitched into a rare smile. "She thought you'd stay quiet. That was her biggest mistake." They filed the motion that afternoon, and by evening, the court had granted a temporary freeze on the accounts. Mia would be notified within hours. As Lucas left the courthouse, his phone buzzed again, an email from Bryce Harper's firm, requesting a private meeting to discuss settlement options. Lucas forwarded it to Elena, who texted back, "They're scared. Don't meet them without me." He drove back to the motel, his mind racing. Mia had built a fortress of lies, but it was crumbling. Friends were turning, evidence was mounting, and the court was listening. For the first time, Lucas felt the scales tipping. He wasn't just surviving Mia's betrayal. He was dismantling it, piece by piece. Lucas stood in the Miami-Dade courthouse, the final hearing looming like a finish line. 3 weeks had passed since the preliminary showdown, and the evidence, bank transfers, forged therapy notes, and Mia's damning emails, had shifted the tide. Elena had worked relentlessly, securing a forensic accountant's report that confirmed Mia's unauthorized siphoning of $47,000 from their joint accounts. Lucas clutched a new folder, filled with sworn statements from friends who'd seen through Mia's lies, ready to counter her narrative. The courtroom doors opened, and he stepped inside, his pulse steady but fierce. Mia sat across the room, her posture rigid, her lawyer Bryce Harper flipping through papers with a strained expression. The judge, her gaze as sharp as ever, called the session to order. Bryce spoke first, his voice smoother now, offering a revised settlement. Mia would keep half the savings, relinquish the condo, and drop her claims of Lucas's instability. It was a retreat, but Lucas saw through it, a desperate bid to salvage her position. Elena stood, her tone cutting. "Your Honor, we reject the proposal. Ms. Delgado's actions constitute financial fraud, defamation, and conspiracy. We seek full asset retention and damages." The judge nodded, turning to the forensic accountant's report. "The evidence shows deliberate asset concealment," she said, her voice measured. "Bank records confirm unauthorized transfers to an account solely in Ms. Delgado's name." Elena submitted the latest blow, a notarized affidavit from Mia's colleague, admitting they'd been pressured to falsify financial records. The colleague had come forward after receiving a subpoena, unwilling to risk perjury. Bryce's objections faltered, his argument about authentication drowned by the weight of proof. Next came the Instagram DMs from Carla, exposing Mia's fabricated claims of Lucas's threats. The judge skimmed them, her expression tightening. "Ms. Delgado, these messages suggest a coordinated effort to discredit your spouse. Do you deny their authenticity?" Mia's silence was deafening, her eyes fixed on the table. Bryce whispered urgently, but she shook her head, refusing to speak. Elena seized the moment, presenting the Zoom recording where Mia bragged about framing Lucas. The audio echoed in the courtroom. "He'll crumble like always." The judge's pen paused, her disapproval palpable. Lucas took the stand, his voice calm but firm. "I trusted her for 8 years," he said. "I planned our future, supported her career, and believed her when she said I wasn't enough. But she wasn't building a life with me. She was building a lie. He detailed the years of sacrifices, late nights covering bills, canceled plans to accommodate her work emergencies, apologies for fights she started. The judge listened intently, her notes piling up. When Lucas stepped down, Mia wouldn't meet his gaze. The ruling came swiftly. This court finds evidence of willful deceit and financial misconduct by Ms. Delgado, the judge declared. Mr. Monroe retains the condo, all remaining joint assets, and the right to pursue damages for defamation and fraud. Ms. Delgado, you are ordered to repay the misappropriated funds within 90 days. She paused, her tone stern. Further attempts to manipulate this process will be met with severe consequences. Bryce slumped. Mia stared at the floor, her plans in ruins. Outside, Lucas stood in the courthouse parking lot, the Miami sun warm on his face. Elena clapped his shoulder. You didn't just win, you rewrote the story. He drove to the condo, his condo now, and stepped inside. The space felt different, not haunted by Mia's presence, but open, his to reclaim. That evening, Sophia arrived with coffee and takeout, settling on the porch with him. You okay? She asked, her voice soft. Lucas nodded. I'm not whole yet, but I'm free. He thought of the years he'd dimmed himself, swallowing his needs to keep Mia happy. That man was gone. Lucas opened his laptop and drafted a post for an online forum, recounting his story, not for pity, but to warn others. Don't let someone rewrite your truth, he wrote. Stand up, even if your hands shake. You're worth more than their lies. He hit publish, the words a release, a declaration. His phone buzzed, messages from strangers who'd read his post, sharing their own betrayals, thanking him for speaking out. Lucas smiled faintly, the weight of silence lifting. As Sophia left, she turned at the gate. She thought you'd fade away. You didn't. Lucas nodded, watching her go. The future wasn't clear, but it was his. He'd lost a marriage, but he'd gained his voice. Mia had bet on his surrender. Instead, he'd fought for the truth and won. For the first time in years, Lucas felt like the author of his own story, not a character in hers.